Moscow. Was it Moscow?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we're on your way to becoming a physicist.
Yeah.
Right? Particle physicist?
Right.
A physics. Then you ended up at Wharton.
Yes.
Business school.
Right.
Then you got to the World Bank.
Right.
You know. So at the World Bank, where did you think your life was heading?
I think I was heading back to Russia.
Always back to Russia. Right? To do what? To create businesses or to do something else?
There was a time of
You have a cell phone. You know, you can take these Russians anywhere, but they can never. Go ahead. So you want to go back to Moscow to do what?
that was the time of disruption in the Soviet Union, and that was the time of opportunity. So I just wanted
This
to
was
be
around
there.
1991.
It was about 1995.
Yeah. And you put together the company in 99?
Yes.
And the idea was what?
Well, the idea was that internet is becoming big everywhere in the world, and Russia was the place where I thought it would thrive. And actually I was right on that, because there are only 4 countries in the world other than US that have developed significant internet companies to speak of.
And those 4 are?
Those 4 are China, Russia, Japan, and South Korea. So Russia was
Nowhere in Europe.
well, there were
Nowhere in Latin America.
a couple of exceptions that proved the rule, but if you are talking about significant countries with a lot of population, those would be the
Now, why is that, you think?
Well, there are various reasons. In Russia, I think the main reason is the abundance of engineering talent. I just, backstage looked at the last record of the ACM championships.
Right.
This would be like the Olympic Games for programmers globally. It happens once a year, and Russia got 6 first places out of the last 10 years. 6 out of 10. So this was Russia.
When you put together the company, when you basically said, I want to create a company, DST, which will invest in, quote, internet companies.
Right.
What's the model, and how does it differ from traditional venture capital firms like Sequoia, like Kleiner Perkins, like others?
Well, back then it was no different, 10 years ago. But it basically, in the last few years, evolved towards the late-stage investment more than VC kind of investment that Kleiner Perkins and other brilliant firms are doing.
What's late-stage investment? How do you measure it?
This is basically...
What do you have to do as a company to get to late stage?
This is a valuation of about $1 billion, and the average investment of something like $100 million.
Okay. So in other words, before you think about an investment, you want to see an established business with an evaluation of $1 billion.
Yes.
And the size of the investment, you make this investment looking for, we'll get to Facebook in a second, looking for a payoff from an IPO?
Yeah, I mean, it's the usual suspects, either IPO or acquisition.
Right.
But I think the kind of investments we've been doing in the last 12 months were actually helping companies sometimes to delay an IPO and have another, 1, 2, 3 years of a run to really focus on the product instead of focusing on liquidity and other issues. They're not really related to the core business.
Why Facebook?
Well, Facebook was our first investment, and it was the most fascinating company that we ever met. And that starts with Mark Zuckerberg, and all the way through the business model. We've made investments in 5 social networks before Facebook, and we thought that we knew, a few things about, social networks, and Facebook was a very logical step for us.
So you told me a story backstage before we came out about an article in the New York Times maybe in the last week or 2, which spoke to you when we think about why social networking has become the phenomenon it has as a part of the internet.
story was that the human civilization basically started to develop with the first social networks that emerged in places where the population concentration was high. Those first social networks emerged, and they helped to propel the mankind to where it is right now. And back to the Facebook, I think it's sort of the next step of creating this huge human brain that will embrace hundreds of millions and possibly billions of people, and that would facilitate the exchange of information that was never seen in the history of civilization. I mean, if you look at the statistics, just 12 months ago, there was 1,000 pieces of information exchanged every second on Facebook. Today, this number is 10,000. It was a tenfold increase in the amount of information that people share between each other just in 1 year. And in this 1 year, Facebook grew, I think, about 3 times. So that gives you another threefold increase in information sharing per person.
Somebody once said, you think that Facebook will be the most valuable company in the internet business?
Well, I hope it will be one of the most valuable.
You think it'll be the most valuable, don't you?
It has a good chance.
What would prevent it from doing that? I'm not talking about market cap. I mean, I'm talking the largest instance.
Like what?
Well, I mean, the importance in terms of significance, in terms of spawning new companies, in terms of a whole range of other things like that.
Well, I think
In
Facebook.
terms of being the dominant cultural impact.
I think Facebook is important globally because it's going to be, one social graph that is unifying all civilization in different countries, maybe with a few exceptions. We've been asking questions about what are the other players, but I can come back to that later. But I think the company that creates one global social graph is going to be very important going forward.
And that's going to be Facebook.
It will be Facebook with maybe 2 or 3 local networks that will be able to sustain the competition long term.
What do you think is the appropriate time for Facebook to go public?
I think it's up to the management and the board to make this call, but I think they will probably do it when they believe that the time is right, and this will not be driven by liquidity alone. I think this will be kind of business logic to that.
In the commercial arena, you believe that friends are the most important driving factor in purchasing decisions?
I think so. There are kind of 2 networks. There are about 120 friends on Facebook on average per person.
Right.
But this roughly breaks into 2 kind of networks. One is between 5 and 10 people, and this is your close friend network. Then there is a network of 120 people that you talk to once in a while. And both networks are very important. The smaller one, has an impact on your decisions a lot. And the larger one basically is providing you with the new information and new opportunities.
Who influences you? I mean, I know you, a friend of yours includes many people in Silicon Valley. Who is it you go to get smart?
I think I'm influenced by 2 groups of people. One is the entrepreneurs that we invest in. Those are Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Pincus,
Right.
the other ones. And the second group is very smart VC funds, like John Doerr, like Jim Breyer,
Right.
Ray Locke.
And what are you looking for from them?
Well, first of all, we're investing in the companies.
They
They're
are.
already invested.
Right.
And this is a very valuable source for our deals. And secondly, these are the